Hi guys, Honeystein here. So today we're going to be talking about why G3 Generation 3 Monster High isn't that bad as people say. I've never done a commentary video before. I tried writing some talking points in my notes app beforehand. So this is the practice. I tried doing makeup for it, Izzy's, IZZZYZZZ. Love her to death. But let's get into it. I tried doing some fish scales for Monster High. I just did whatever I wanted for the eyeliner. And then I have my Frankie clips. This is gonna be great. So, the way this is going to be organized is my main points, then the counter argument, and with each counter argument I'm going to list right after my counter argument to that counter argument, the overall, and then I'll have my sources in the description down below. I have two sources, both from the Instagram account Monster High Confessions. Definitely go check them out. They kind of inspired this video. It's great. Okay, so first we are going to talk about, I don't know how to I should explain some things beforehand. There's makeup on my hand, that's why it looks like that. I don't know how to put photos off to the sides, so bear with me. I also am going to be calling the Generation 1 Monster High fans who hate on G3 just because it's different. I'm going to be calling them G1 purists just because that's a term I've heard used in the community, and I think it's quicker to say, and I think it's much quicker than saying G1 fans who hate G3, you know? And G1 purists isn't talking about all the G1 fans, and not even all the G1 fans who dislike Monster High, just the ones who dislike it because it's different and they're so nostalgia-ridden, if you know what I mean. So, I did the scales up here too, so let's just get into it. The first note I have down is the racial representation. I'm white, so these are accounts I have heard from people of color. Also, disclaimer, I forgot, but this is not including the G3 movies. I count those as separate from the Generation 3 show on Nickelodeon. Boycott Nickelodeon. Just out there saying. So, first point, the racial representation. Let's just get into this. So I grew up with Monster High. I loved the movies. Obviously, I didn't notice it as a kid, but looking back now, it's definitely very weird. I watched the movie, and in Scarce City of Frights, a character is introduced. She's a Chinese dragon named Jennifer. Generation 1 did an awful job with her. I'm sorry. It's awful. And so this first point about Jennifer might just chalk it up to her being a golden dragon. And if that's what that is, that's fine. But this is just what I've heard from other people. So I don't know if it is just because she's a gold dragon, or if it's a stereotype. So this is just me saying what I've heard. She has yellowish golden skin as a Chinese character, which I don't even have have to say why that's weird, unless she's a golden dragon, like I said. But my second point about Jennifer, if you pay attention to the music, you know what I'm talking about. Every time there's a scene that cuts to her, it plays very, very stereotypically Chinese music. And that's just a big yikes that I've heard a lot of people talk about. And they're like, oh my god, this is so bad. And it is. And another good point about the racial representation, because in Generation 3, obviously, they didn't do that with Jennifer. Thank God. But another Generation 3 character they've done this with, sorry I'm looking at my notes, is a character that the fandom has given another name. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Pilot Grande? But this is a post from the Monster High Confessions account. So a confessor confessed this, and the Monster High Confessions account posted a confession. This is their confession. Even though I love Marisol, because her name's Marisol, but the fandom gave her a different name for a reason you'll find out later. Even though I love Marisol's design, I think it's important for the fans to know that it is inspired by a racist caricature of indigenous people from the Amazon. I don't know how to pronounce this word. Her name is based off of the word. The aren't monsters. They are indigenous people from my state, Rondônia in Brazil. If I pronounce anything wrong, please correct me. Basically, a European explorer described them as ape men and created a whole myth about them being a missing link in human evolution. I don't know why Mattel chose to adapt this. They were apparent, and then from some sources they've cited, they were apparently named by neighboring peoples to dehumanize them. And in Brazil, we're always just supposed to be people. So, from my understanding of this Generation 1 character, Pilar Grande, the fandom renamed her Pilar Grande because Marisol is based off of the term that was used to describe those people, but that word they used to describe those people, from what I've heard, is, I think, a slur. So I'm going to call her Pilar Grande, but they chose the name Pilar Grande, the fandom, they chose it because it means Bigfoot. So that's better, obviously, but, so what it was is, she's based off of a racist caricature of Brazilians, I believe, that a European explorer saw and was like, oh god, what are these? So, strange thing to base a character off of. I am praying it was just ignorance. But they really should have done some research. Another thing with the racial representation, Draculaura in Generation 1 is obviously Romanian, but Draculaura in G3, she's also Romanian, but also Taiwanese. People don't like this, for some reason. They don't like that she doesn't have her classic Romanian accent. I always thought it was a bit on the nose, and a bit tacky, if I'm being honest. Of course, G1 Draculaura is very cute. But another post from Monster High Confessions. This one is from Monster High Confessions account owner Maple himself, I believe. Do not use G1 Draculaura's being Romanian to be racist to G3 Draculaura for being Romanian and Taiwanese. There's been an uptick in people claiming that G3 Draculaura is a racing representation that wasn't there. G1 Drac was barely connected to her culture, barely made cultural references, and never spoke Romanian. Her Romanian accent was fake and done by an American woman. Now can you love her as Romanian rep? Yes, of course, but don't use G1 Draculaura to be racist to G3 Draculaura. This is not a let's hate G1 Drac post because we love her, don't get it twisted. G3 Drac making references to her being Taiwanese and speaking Mandarin is not Romanian erasure. It's just additional Taiwanese rep. Don't act like G1 Drac was some well thought out and purposeful Romanian representation. G3 Drac is still Romanian. Don't treat mixed kids like they are invalid. Fictional or not, it's disgusting behavior. It just feels like white supremacy and disguised racism. I think G1 Drac is still awesome Romanian representation, and I would love to see some more Romanian references in G3 Drac. Shay confirmed that she can speak Romanian. It would be awesome to see it. This post is not to say G1 Drac is not valid representation. I'm just tired of people acting like it was detailed and passionate to hide racism for G3 Draculaura. And of course, for those two posts I just mentioned, they're going to be linked down below in the description. So, yes, G1 Draculaura was Romanian. She had a very heavy Romanian accent that was fake and done by an American woman. From what I've seen, I haven't done much research on this part on my own. I should have before this, I know that. But from what I've seen, for the actors, the voice actors for G3, they got actual people from that culture to actually voice those characters, which I personally feel is a lot more authentic, if that makes sense. Because if it feels like it's going to be stereotyped, they can speak up and be like, hey, hold on. It just feels more authentic. That's the only way I can put it, really. One of my favorite talking points, the second talking point I have is the queer representation. As you can tell, I'm myself queer. Crazy. But G3 Frankie, they have my heart and soul. It is so refreshing to see a non-binary main character who isn't androgynous. Don't get me wrong, androgynous envies are valid. Double Trouble in She-Ra. Androgynous and slays. But I also saw someone saying that there's a lot of non-binary mask representation, but not a lot of non-binary feminine representation. And I think Frankie is wonderful for that. They don't make it their entire personality either, which is really nice. They're not the non-binary character. They're just Frankie, who is also non-binary. They're just like, hey, my name's Frankie, pronouns they, them, and move on. Which I really like. I love it so much. And this second talking point about the queer rep is gonna bring, I've seen a lot of people talk about this, and they really don't get it, I think. Clanky in G3 versus Cluse in G1. If you don't know what Clanky is, it is the ship of Cleo and Frankie, who are canonically dating in G3. If you don't know what Cluse is, it is Cleo and Deuce, who are canonically dating in G1. G3 Clanky. So, most people are mad that Cleo and Deuce are together in G3, which I understand why you would be mad. These two characters you have seen be together aren't together anymore. But remember that this is a separate universe. These are separate characters, and that's another point I'm going to get back to later. They're not the same characters. Cleo and Deuce did previously date in G3, but they decided they were better off as friends, which I really like. You can still be friends with your exes, and I think Clanky is very cute in G3. That doesn't mean I ship it in G1. I don't ship it in G1. I ship Cleo and Deuce in G1, but I very much ship Cleo and Frankie in G3. Very cute couple. So, next one is going to bring me to the body type diversity. I have grabbed a couple of dolls, but I forgot one, excuse me. So, in Generation 3 of Monster High, they are not shying away from different body types. Like, here is my Draculaura doll. Can't really see because I have the clothes on her, but she is given the model of her character in G3, which compared to, let's say, my Laguna doll, obviously different body types. And different heights too, which I really enjoy. I think it's really cute that they added those details. I don't know if they did that with G1 dolls. Sorry, I just heard something else on my window that scared me. But they're more comfortable making different body types, and it's not just making the characters plus sized either. And I'm not saying Draculaura is plus sized. I have heard from plus sized people that she isn't plus sized, she just has bigger hips. But they're not just making plus sized characters either. They're making just different proportions as well, which I think is really neat and refreshing to see. Love it. The characters, they have different face shapes, which I love. I don't know how it's fairly easy to tell on the dolls. Like Draculaura's face is shorter and more round. You can see that. That's obvious. My next point is, sorry I'm like switching through these really fast. It took me like 15 minutes to get to through the first one. Now I'm like, getting through them fast, but I don't have much to say about these ones. In Generation 1, one of the main attractions of the dolls was the unique molds. I never owned a G1 doll as a kid, but the G3 dolls, they also have these unique molds. Here is my Venus doll that I recently just bought. She's my favorite. You can see the vines on her legs and how the braids on the side of her head are kind of molded in there. And her ears are like leaves. It's just very cute all around. She has like little claws on her hand. I don't know how well you can see that, probably not that well. My camera is very low quality. They have different nose shapes too. Like, Draculaura has more of an upturned nose, I think. I don't know if that's the right term. And sadly, Laguna's doll does not have webbed hands, but I don't know if she does in G1 either. I think she does. But Claudine has like, hold on. Claudine still has like the fur around her wrists and ankles, and I think that's very cute. And of course she has the ears up top and the fur on her cheeks. Very, very cute. Love the unique doll molds. It's very heartwarming. This point I'm gonna circle back around to later. But the characters in G3 are also just so much more like actual teens. I'm a teenager. I'm in high school, well, they were teenagers in G1. To me, they felt like they were more in like their early 20s growing up. Oh, not growing up. I thought they were teens growing up, but now I'm like, yeah, they feel more like they're in their early 20s than teenagers, which isn't a big deal, but compared to G3 just does it better. I'm sorry, they just do. They feel more like actual teenagers. They're like awkward and imperfect and childlike, which makes sense because Generation 3 is for children. And I think the G1 purists keep forgetting that. My next point, I'm so excited to talk about this. The neurodivergent representation. Biggest example of this is Twyla in G3. She's canonically autistic. She says it out loud. She says, "I'm autistic and loudness bothers me." When she goes to the monster ball, she asks for headphones to accommodate because loudness bothers her. She has a beaded bracelet that she plays with like stim when she gets like nervous. When she gets too nervous, I haven't seen the show, so I don't really know how to state it, but she turns into a shadow. But her being autistic isn't her entire personality. But autistic people in media are not often shown to be in romantic relationships. They're infantilized. That isn't the case with Twyla. In Generation 3, Manny has shown an interest in Twyla. I think it's very cute. I think it has a lot of potential. But it's not her only personality trait. She's also very caring. She talks about how sometimes she needs alone time. There's an episode where she accidentally unleashes something into their dreams, and it's not her entire personality. And another character who's canonically neurodivergent, is Meowlity in Generation 3. She canonically has ADHD. She's not very good with listening instructions, but if they're I believe if they're written down, she's much better with them. And she struggles with a lot of ADHD symptoms that are shown, but not without making it her entire thing, which I love casual representation. It's amazing. And I don't have this in my notes, but I remember reading on, I believe, Generation 3 Gulia's trivia section of her Wikipedia. She has this zombie trait called brain freeze, similar to anxiety tics in real life. I have a friend who has tics, and just seeing that representation, I feel like it could help other people who have tics. It could help them to feel less alone. My next point is a big one. The G1 purists who hate on it just because it changes things, they miss the point of G1 entirely. I saw someone who commented under a Monster High post the other day who was like, G1 fans who hate G3 because it's different have missed the point of G1. And someone replied with, the point of G1 was friendship. Did you not see the movies? Yes, they are friends. It's very sweet. That's not the point. The point is embrace your freaky flaws. It's plastered everywhere. But I'm not saying you're not allowed to dislike G3. You are, but disliking it because it's different is, if I'm being honest, stupid. That's the only way I can put it. It's a reboot. It's gonna be different. The 2018 She-Ra reboot was different from the 80s reboot. The 80s was... The 2018 She-Ra reboot was different from the 80s She-Ra, obviously. I haven't seen the 80s She-Ra, but the 2018 She-Ra is still lovable. I love it to my core. I have an 80s She-Ra Funko Pop over there. You can't see it, it's off screen, I'm not gonna show it. But it's a reboot. Did you want them to keep it the same? I mean, that's kind of what they tried with G2, and everyone I've seen dislikes G2 an extreme amount. I don't think it's that bad. Just saying. And Jesus. Final of the main points is, a lot of people, I think they don't realize this, but Generation 1 is getting a lot more content right now, like a bunch of comics, the Boo Regional pre-productions. That G1 content is only coming out because of G3. The money they make from G3 funds that G1 content. Without Generation 3, there wouldn't be all this new Generation 1 content. And I think a lot of people don't really realize that, when they definitely should. Sorry, my eyes itchy. But even if you dislike G3, you gotta be like at least a little bit thankful that it's giving you more of your favorite G1. And if you're just hating on G3 and not being thankful that it's bringing in more G1 content, you're not being sad because it's not like G1. You just hate it. You're just a hater. And I'm a hater, not of G3. I'm just a hater in general. I hate a lot of things. You should see what I comment on Instagram, my god. But if there's a difference between hating G3 because it's different from G1 and just not having any whimsy and joy ever in your life. Just being sad. I'm not saying you have to love G3 to be happy. I'm saying don't hate it for no reason. And now to my counter arguments. Whoa. So the biggest one I've seen, which I understand, I don't have a very strong counter argument to this counter argument, but the quirky, adorkable MC that is Claudine in Generation 3. Well, I do miss her sassy fashionista G1 persona. I don't hate G3 Claudine. She feels very much like a real teen, and while a sassy fashionista does also feel like a real teen, the G3 Claudine, just G3 in general, is targeted more towards kids. The Generation 1 was meant to be very, 2000s, 2010s. But this is a new generation in the 2020s, so obviously they're not going to keep it to the same way it was in 2000s, 2010s. The second counter argument, the animation style. I've seen people being like, Cankle High. I love the Cankle art style, first of all. The animation style also isn't that bad. I like it a lot. the 3D Generation 1 was pretty bad. It might just be because of its time. I'm assuming it's just because of its time. But that was bad too. But I don't see people hating on that, but it might just be because of its time. It's still very nostalgic. I still love it. The one thing I do dislike about the animation style though, because I acknowledge that G3 in all its glory is not perfect. I just hate the hair. And this isn't just a Monster High thing. Gita from Pokemon Scarlet Violet, this is also another thing. She's also another character. The chunky hair. How it's like in one piece. How it moves as one piece too. Frankie in their normal outfit is a good example of this. How it's just in one piece and I dislike it. That's a personal thing. I don't know how many agree. With ponytails, it doesn't look that bad, I think. But that's just what I think. And then the music video animation, I like the rendering a lot. The faces scare me to death. That's all I gotta say about that. Another counter argument is they changed the characters. It's a reboot, buddy. What did you expect? Did you want it to be the same? The exact same? They're gonna change the characters. Like, I like that they changed them a bunch. I like that they were bold with it. I love it. This one. Laguna Blue isn't blue. She is pink. And while I do understand this one, it is not a reason to hate on the entirety of G3, making it your main point over and over and over. Laguna, when I first saw the G3 character designs, I also did not like Lagunas very much. But I have grown to actually prefer the color palette to G1's. I'm sorry, I just do. Oh my god, hold on, I'm sorry, I didn't notice your little, like, fish ears. That's very cute. But her being pink, I think it gives great opportunity for her to wear, like, more blue clothing without it feeling like so much blue. And she still is a little bit blue. And you can take out the fins too. You can, I'm just not able to right now because I'm very weak. Whoa. You can take out the fins. But it allows her to have more blue on her. Not physically her skin, but the blue on her. And I think it's very cute. Like, I love this blue in her hair, the blue purple thing she has going on. With the blonde. I think it's adorable. And I love her little blue freckles. I don't know how well you can see it, but you can, like, look up her doll. The forehead dots, they aren't even. That is a gripe I do have. But for me, it's fine. I just don't focus on it too much. If you focus on it, that's understandable. I don't like it, but it's tolerable. So Laguna Blue, not being blue, to me, isn't a big deal. I like her better pink. That's just how I feel. And this next point, this next counter argument kind of ties in with her not being blue, but for me, the way I was able to let myself enjoy Generation 3 was, and I feel much happier after letting myself enjoy Generation 3, but the way I was able to let myself enjoy it was once I started them seeing G1 and G3 as separate universes, different characters. G1 Claudine isn't the same as G3 Claudine. They're separate characters entirely. Same concept? Yes, absolutely. But they're not the same, obviously. And once you start to see them as different and stop comparing them, it's actually really nice and enjoyable, and it makes me happy. I was able to enjoy it after that. So, overall, you are allowed to just dislike Generation 3. This is not me saying, if you dislike Generation 3 for any reason, this is why you should, and you suck and are stupid. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, if you are going to dislike it for valid reasons other than it's different from G1. You are allowed to prefer G1, you are allowed to dislike and even hate G3 for valid reasons other than it's different. Explain why you dislike the differences. Acknowledge G1's faults, and acknowledge that G3, while it isn't perfect either, it does things a lot better than G1 in a lot of cases. You can always go back and consume the G1 content. So you don't have to always be like, bring back G1. They are bringing back G1 because of G3. And you can always go back and watch the old Monster High content. It is still there. G1's existence does not wipe away the existence of G1. And big one, my god, this is a big one. Do not hate on people for liking Generation 3. Okay? I saw someone be mad at me for liking Generation 3 and they called me childish for it. When they're like in their 20s liking Generation 1. And this isn't me calling them childish, it's me calling them hypocritical. Yes, we both enjoy shows designed for younger audiences. So why are you calling me childish? You are not embracing my freaky flaws at all. And I think that's rooted in your insecurity about your freaky flaws and all, and I'm just saying. But this video has gone on long enough. Those were all my points. I'm sorry I couldn't organize it better. This was my first commentary video. If you have tips, tricks, feel free to comment them down below. If you know what I should do with my hairstyle, Jesus Christ, comment down below. Again, I'll have the post about Pili Grande and G1 versus G3 Draculaura linked in the description down below, along with my Instagram. You can go follow me there. I'm much more active on Instagram. I post every Wednesday. I post my art. So, go check it out. Have fun. Be safe. Love everything.